Hello, ICW fans, and gather around for a trip down Nostalgia Avenue, as this will be a VHS review of Uprising. This is an ICW event which took place back on April 12th, 2003, from the Ukrainian Center in Passaic, New Jersey. This was the second month in a row ICW ran in this very building. Interesting note here, with the exception of myself and my personal Dr. Frankenstein when it came to independent wrestling, Tony Kalman, there was like only two other guys waiting outside the Elks Lodge to get picked up by a school bus that was rented for the show, while everybody else got picked up at Jack Sabbath's original store, which was on Horace Harding Expressway right near Springfield Boulevard. And somehow the driver could not find the street the building was located on. And at the fifth time he stopped to ask where the street was, most of the people on the bus were chanting, "Five time, five time, five time." And the sixth time he stopped, someone said, "He's going for Harley Race's record." Now on this bus, among the fans on this bus trip were Sean Connor, who known as unofficial artist on many wrestling message boards through the years. And there were these good-looking ladies who attended a lot of ICW, USA Pro, Ring of Honor, and Jersey All Pro events back in the early to mid 2000s. And I remember when we had a hard time getting to the place, one of those ladies yelled, "Why couldn't Jack do this shit at the Elks Lodge?" We finally get to the building, and thankfully this was a great show on paper. The opening matchup is tag team action as All Money is Legal, Cash and Chaos, who later became K Murda and K Pusha, respectively. I forgot who became who as time went on, as they went up against Drew Blood and Devin Moore. This was my first time seeing Drew and Devin, as this was their ICW debut, unless I'm wrong. And they, Drew Blood and Devin Moore, way before they became Notorious Incorporated, they defeated All Money is Legal in this opening match. Next up was a triple threat match, which saw Ken Scampy, accompanied by Tara Charisma, face Mr. Yellow, Joey Brajol, and Wayne, the convenience store guy, or he was just Wayne by this point. For those who don't know, that's Shane, one of the owners of the New York Wrestling Connection in Long Island. I think Scampy, did like a top rope dive or a suicide dive, and eventually Tara did one herself, even though she was not even in this match. And Wayne eventually picked up the win as he pinned, I forgot it was Scampy or Brajol he pinned. Third match of the night, we see Lowrider take on Hot Stuff Eddie Guapo. I really liked this matchup here, and I was very surprised Eddie Guapo defeated Lowrider in this singles matchup. I don't know if this was next, because I haven't watched this videotape in a long time, even though I was at this very show. But Mike Tobin of the Boogie Nights comes out with Ecstasy, not the drug, a good-looking lady who spells ecstasy with an X in front of it, not like the drug. He announces to the crowd that his partner, Danny Drake, had a family emergency, and unfortunately their tag match with the Solution was not going to happen. Out come the Solution, Papa Don and Havoc, and they attack Tobin, and they're double-teaming him until Just Incredible hits the ring and saves Tobin from the 2-on-1 attack, which pretty much got a good pop from the crowd. Fourth match of the night, we see the Grim Reaper take on Johnny Storm, who made his ICW debut, and this may have been his only ICW appearance ever. Johnny Storm ended up defeating the Grim Reaper in what was a pretty good matchup. Next, we're set for our first title match of the night as Joey Matthews, who later became Joey Mercury, challenged Billy the Highlight Real, R-E-I-L, that's how he spells his last name, for the Super J or Super Juniors Championship. Before the match even got underway, Joey managed to get his hands on the belt. He's leaving the ringside area, and he's about to go through the curtain with it, and Billy says, "Hey, you didn't beat me fair and square." And the crowd was giving Billy the what treatment. They were some chanting asshole at him. Billy notices one of the ladies that was from the bus, and he says, "You talk to your mother with that mouth?" And her response was, "No, bitch." And that's heard clear as day on the videotape. I don't know who commentated this very show. I mean, you couldn't really hear them throughout the event. You could just mostly hear the crowd, the music, and the wrestlers. The match eventually took place, and Billy Real defeated Joey Matthews to retain the Super Super Juniors Championship. Okay, so they did go to intermission at that point. And next we had a Monster Mac of the Hit Squad comes out, and he announces that Mafia, Dan Moff, was wrestling at another show in another town, and Mac issued an open challenge, and out from the curtain comes the Mime. And as soon as he emerged from the curtain, Mac notices Jack Sabbath in the side by the crowd. He says, "Jack, what the hell is that?" So the bell rings. Mime and Mac shake hands, and Mime and Mac illustrate like a baseball game. Mime seemingly hits a home run. Mac hits the ball, and Mime jumps up and seemingly catches the invisible ball. And then Mac hits Mime with a clothesline from Compton, and he says, "That was a home run." Then Mime decides to break up an invisible wall, and Mac knocks on that invisible door. Mime opens it up, and Mac hits a second clothesline from Compton and pins him to win this match. And what the funny thing was, after the Mime came through the curtain, Sean, unofficial artist Connor, fell on the floor laughing. That's seen clear as day on the videotape. Next was a singles matchup, which saw Prince Nana go one-on-one with Mega, who was accompanied to the ring by Terra Charisma. This match stemmed from the previous month when Nana last eliminated Mega in a battle royal, where Nana's prize was a Ring of Honor DVD, which Mega actually destroyed right then and there. The match was on, and Mega ended up defeating Prince Nana with a chokeslam. Then it was time for tag team action, as we saw, representing the hot commodity, Julio De Niro and Easy Money, accompanied to the ring by Miss Michelle and Alexis Laree, who we know is Mickie James. They had some promo time, and I think some of the ladies in the crowd were oohing and awing over De Niro and Money. And out came their opponents, the Christopher Street Connection, Mace Mendoza and Buffy. Two men who acted like they were two gay men from Greenwich Village, hence the name Christopher Street Connection. Just as they're making their rounds before entering the ring, some of the ladies were chanting to Sean Connor to kiss Buffy on the mouth, and they did kiss, and unfortunately for those who wanted to see that on the videotape, just as Buffy and Sean were about to kiss, they took the camera off of them, and you see the two ladies that were on the bus. They stood up cheering and applauding. Then the match eventually got on, and at one point, Michelle and Laree got in the ring, and Christopher Street Connection got them down, and they were grabbing each leg, and they were doing what they call a rowboat, which we don't see in wrestling anymore. And eventually, just as they stop, Buffy yells, "It stinks!" trying to insinuate that the ladies were not keeping themselves clean, but I'm sure they were. Eventually, the Christopher Street Connection ended up defeating Easy Money and Julio De Niro in this matchup. And afterwards, DJ Anthony, I forgot his last name. I think he passed away this year, and he was friends with a childhood friend of Damian Dragon. He steps down from the his DJ position, and he decides to dance with both Mace and Buffy to help celebrate their victory. Next was another tag team matchup as we saw the SAT, Jose and Joel Maximo, as they did battle with the Fallen Angel, Christopher Daniels, and Mikey Whipwreck, who were billed as the Unholy. Not certain if they were unholier than thou. They had a very good matchup, which saw Mikey Whipwreck and Christopher Daniels defeat the SAT. Then out comes Matt Striker sporting a Hawaiian shirt, and he has the microphone. He tells the crowd that he's going to referee the next matchup with two of his good friends going at it. And he asks the crowd if they want him to ref with the Hawaiian shirt on or take the Hawaiian shirt off and put on the stripes. Eventually, Striker put the stripes on, and the match saw Brian XL go one-on-one with the Amazing Red, the two men who years later would start the House of Glory Wrestling School and then a promotion. I know Red's not involved anymore, but and the company's been sold to rapper Master P. I don't know if Brian's even involved anymore, business-wise or with the matchmaking. A very good matchup is Red and Brian seem to be like mirror images of each other in terms of in-ring style. And Red ended up defeating Brian XL in a very good matchup, which saw Striker raise the hands of both men as this was pretty much a show stealer. But I can't remember the two of them not having a bad match with each other. Okay, then it was main event time as we saw Jerry Lynn do battle with Justin Credible for the vacant ICW Heavyweight Championship. The previous champion, Low Key, was originally planned to face Jerry at this event, but around this time, Low Key was had a lot of commitments overseas, namely with Japan, and he was unable to do this show, so the ICW decided to strip him of this championship and do this match in which the winner would be crowned the new champion. Most of the crowd was pro Jerry, except for two guys in front of us. I think they were from the bus trip, chanting Justin, and Jerry notices them and he says, "What is this, the heel section?" And, my shoulder's hurting. The match was on, and of course these two, it was like magic when they touch, especially with their summer series they had in ECW in 1998. Jerry, of course, unseated Justin for the ECW heavyweight title at Anarchy Rules 2000 in Lynn's home state of Minnesota. Match ends with Credible hitting his That's Incredible pile driver, pins Jerry to become the new ICW champion, which brought an end to a great night of wrestling. And it's too bad this show did not happen in the state of New York, but I think most of us those of us from the bus trip, we pretty much made up that whole crowd, because the previous month, I failed to mention this in my Land of the Rising Stars review, there weren't too many of us on the bus, and there weren't too many people in the crowd when we arrived from the bus trip, that is. But, it was definitely a great time, and, as far as those ladies that were from the bus trip, I don't know if, I think Ariana Hilario, or is her last name pronounced Hilario? I think she's still friends with those ladies. I don't know if Ariana was even at this show or not. Definitely, it looked to me at that point ICW was not only back at that time, because they came back the previous month after a hiatus/hibernation. And, I was looking forward to it. I did notice in attendance for this very show, but not on the show, was Danny DeMonto, who I believe today has the book in terms of ICW here in 2020. Oh yeah, and Harry Slash, I forgot he was there too. I think he was the booker at the time. And the show was ring announced by Joe DeLeo, who started out as heel commentator L. Shoes, and years later wrestled as Maximus Sex Power. But yeah, this was a very, very good offering. I still have the show on videotape. I don't know if our video has it themselves. But, I liked it. It was very good. So, hope everybody enjoyed this nice flashback of ICW.